Breaking tonight, two major political stories with the potential to change the course of this White House race. Both Donald Trump's and Hillary Clinton's teams are in full damage control mode tonight after explosive and potentially campaign-crippling leaks. Plus, deadly Hurricane Matthew posing a new threat as it continues its destructive march up the eastern seaboard tonight. Welcome to a very busy night on the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly on location. You can call it an October surprise times 3. First, Trump's campaign putting out a statement apologizing, which you do not often hear coming from Donald Trump, after the shocking release of an audio recording that captures Mr. Trump making absolutely stunning comments about women about a decade ago.
I gotta use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the you can do anything.
The Clinton campaign is also on defense tonight after WikiLeaks puts out excerpts of Mrs. Clinton's well-paid speeches to Wall Street financial firms, which she has refused to make available for months. And now we may know why. Perhaps it's her reference to her desire for, and I quote, open borders. And there's much more from her. But first, we must begin tonight with the life-threatening course of Hurricane Matthew, lashing northeast Florida and Georgia with hurricane-force winds, and Americans are in danger right now. The extreme weather being blamed for at least 5 deaths here in the United States. Earlier, the hurricane weakened to a Cat 2 hurricane, but the National Hurricane Center reminding people that with hundreds of miles of coastline under threat of torrential rain and deadly storm surge, lives remain very much at risk tonight. Just listen to the governors whose states are in that path.
We have seen hurricane-force winds along the coast. The worst effects are still likely to come.
There's nothing certain about this other than the danger.
There is nothing safe about what's getting ready to happen. This is the last time you will hear my voice when I'm asking you to evacuate.
And what we feared is now happening in North Carolina. The immediate concern is now life-threatening rain and water, and I cannot emphasize more life-threatening rain throughout our state.
Rick Reckmuth, our chief meteorologist, is live in the Fox Weather Center tonight. Rick?
A lot going on. We're probably about 50% of the way through this storm, and you think we've been dealing with it for about 36 hours. We have about that long to go before it's off our shore. Hurricane warnings still in effect across northern parts of Florida and now extending all the way up just to the north of Wilmington, North Carolina. We have a long ways to go, and one of the biggest things you just heard the governor of North Carolina talking about is the rainfall totals. And we had incredible flooding just a couple of weeks ago across areas of eastern North Carolina. And so the ground is saturated, the trees are weaker, and we are going to be seeing a lot of rain falling, some spots probably pushing 15 inches. And so this is potentially going to be a catastrophic flooding situation for us across a wide area of South and North Carolina. We still have the storm surge in the short term. The storm's moving to the north, Category 2, right on the border of Category 3, and the pressure is still really low. Meteorologically, that just means it is still a very strong storm, and we're going to watch a lot of water being pushed in across the coast here, especially between Savannah and Charleston. Savannah, you have seen a surge of almost 6 feet, fortunately happening at low tide. It's not going to be the case once we get to Charleston. And because of that, Charleston is expecting to see the second largest or worst flooding situation that they've seen from a storm behind Hurricane Hugo, and that is saying a lot. Here's just how this plays out, Megan. I want to move through the next couple of hours. We have incredible rain overnight across South Carolina in the dark. By the morning, mostly done in Georgia. Throughout the day, it moves into North Carolina, out of South Carolina by, say, around 5 o'clock. And then we have this for Saturday night into Sunday. And finally, by, say, around noon on Sunday, we are done with this. We still have at least 36 hours of this storm across the southeast.
Rick, thank you.
You bet.
Also breaking tonight, just 48 hours out from the next presidential debate, and the Trump campaign is in full damage control mode following a troubling story broken by the Washington Post today. Hours ago, the Post publishing a report along with video of Mr. Trump and NBC's Billy Bush discussing women in what can only be described as vulgar and lewd terms. The video was from 2005. It appears the men did not realize they were being recorded at the time, although clearly they were wearing microphones. Nevertheless, it is causing major controversy tonight, including a call released just moments ago by Republican Senator Mark Kirk asking for Donald Trump to drop out of this race. Molly Hemingway is the senior editor at The Federalist. Howie Kurtz is host of Media Buzz on Fox News. And Namiki Konst is host of The Filter on Sirius XM. Just so our viewers know, and this isn't to be salacious, but what Trump said in that clip that we bleeped was that you can do anything you want when you're a star, including grab them by the P word. That word that has been bleeped out is you can grab women by the P word. And, you know, as you look at the statements coming in tonight, Chris Direwalt, Reince Priebus, no woman should ever be described in these terms or talked about in this manner, ever. Mitt Romney coming out with the harshest condemnation of this, and Paul Ryan, with whom Trump was supposed to attend an event tomorrow in Wisconsin, coming out and saying he is no longer attending tomorrow's event. I'm sickened by what I heard today. This is Speaker of the House. Women are to be championed and revered, not objectified. And he goes on from there. As I mentioned moments ago, Senator Mark Kirk, who has been a Trump critic of Illinois, a Republican, calls on Trump to drop out of this race and for the emergency rules of replacing the nominee to be activated. Give us some perspective on this story.
Well, what you just informed me of with Paul Ryan is a great big deal, Counselor. Paul Ryan has been the example of the Republican Party stalwart who reluctantly walked in the door with Donald Trump and said, okay, we'll have to do this because he's better than Hillary Clinton. Now, obviously, Ryan is taking a substantial risk here because about 40% of the Republican Party is in for Donald Trump no matter what. Remember, these are people who voted for Donald Trump after he said you have to treat women like the S word. This is for Donald Trump. This is voters for Donald Trump who, after you talk about pigs and dogs and on their knees and all of the stuff that he said when he knew he was being recorded. So these are voters who are with him no matter what. Ryan's taking a substantial risk by saying that he won't appear with Trump because that 40% of his own party will turn on him and they're going to tear him apart. So this is a reflection of some real political courage for him to do that.
His statement goes on saying, I hope Mr. Trump treats this situation with the seriousness it deserves and works to demonstrate to the country that he has greater respect for women than this clip suggests. I want to ask you, Molly, you know, Trump says it's locker room talk. It was a private conversation, and that Bill Clinton has said far worse to him on the golf course than we heard in that tape, and says, if I offended anyone, I apologize. Your reaction to this statement?
Well, I always love that apology. If I've offended anyone, then I apologize. That's not an actual apology. At the same time, I'm kind of surprised this is such a big story. Not because it's not horrific, it actually is quite awful, but because I don't really see that much new in the revelations here. I mean, he's written about, in his book, he's talked on Howard Stern about his sexual libertinism, about how he has slept with married women, and people knew this going back years. So a lot of the outrage is somewhat confusing to me. At the same time, it's audio that is, hot mic recorded, so it's a little bit different than the Howard Stern thing. And also just the sheer entitlement that he exhibits, where he just feels like he's entitled as a powerful person to literally grab a woman or whatnot. Now, it is also true what he says, which is that there has been a lot of tolerance for this type of sexual entitlement among powerful people. And if you oppose this type of powerful people having sexual entitlement, there aren't a lot of good options at the top of the ticket for either party.
You know, one of the disturbing parts of the tape, Namiki, is obviously these two are objectifying women, and Billy Bush has come out and said he's embarrassed and he's humiliated and he wishes he had behaved better. But it's the juxtaposition, if I may, between the way they talk about this woman, this actress on whose soap opera Donald Trump is about to appear, as she comes up to the bus, and then when she greets them, the turn of the switch. She has no idea that what they've been saying about her and her body as she walks up, and then the push by Billy Bush to make her hug Trump, who had just been referring to her, just here's a short clip of that.
Hello, how are you? Hi.
Mr. Trump, how
nice
are you?
seeing you.
Pleasure
Terrific.
to meet you.
Terrific. You know Billy Bush?
How are you?
Nice to see you. How you doing, Ariane?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Are you ready to be a soap star?
We're ready. Let's go.
Got a little hug for the Donald. He just got off the
Would you
bus.
like a little
Okay,
hug, darling?
absolutely.
A
Melania
little
said
hug
this
for the
was
bushy.
okay.
I just got off the bus.
Oh.
Bushy. There we go.
Your thoughts on it?
I mean, this is exactly what so many women are aware of that happens. I mean, yes, it is locker room talk. It is something that was the norm 20, 30, 40 years ago. But in an election like this, when the stakes are so high, when we are so aware of the disconnect that Donald Trump already has with women, that he is down by double digits in comparison to Hillary Clinton with women, even having women so suspicious of Hillary Clinton, distrustful of Hillary Clinton, something like this that shows that juxtaposition, as you just said, just refreshes so many memories that I can bet you every single woman in this country has experienced. And so to see the person who's running to be the leader of the free world, who says that he's so good with women, who's been denying the charges that were made by Alicia Machado the past week and a half, and then this footage comes out, it just reignites all of the suspicions that so many women have felt throughout their careers. And I'm not underplaying this because it is something that we need to have an open conversation about. When men, good-hearted men that we think are good-hearted men, enable conversations like that to exist and don't push back, that's a problem. And that person should not be president.
Howie, already we are seeing pushback by many saying this is not good, but Bill Clinton's been accused of raping women and of sexually assaulting women and of sexually harassing women, and that Hillary's attempt to seem astonished and horrified by this kind of talk doesn't ring true to the critics who believe those stories. In some of those cases, you know, almost seven-figure payouts were made in settlements.
And that's classic political deflection. Let's switch it to Bill Clinton. Look, this is a big problem for Donald Trump. And I've been in the camp that the old Howard Stern interviews and the raunchy talk haven't really made much of an impact because people know that for years and years Donald Trump was a playboy and an entertainer, and he said stuff that he wouldn't have said. He was running for public office. This is different because he starts out talking about he had an unsuccessful attempt to have sex with a married woman. This is after he had married Melania, and also because of the reference when he made the crude reference to you can grab them by the P word. Donald Trump said, when you're a star, they let you do it. We just heard that. You can do anything. That suggests that he feels that, you know, he is entitled to take what he wants. And this is not exactly going to appeal to independent or conservative suburban women who Donald Trump very much needs to appeal to in order to close the gender gap going into this Sunday debate in St. Louis.
Yep.
Two things. It's been revealed now that the woman he attempted to have the affair with, who was married, is Nancy O'Dell, reportedly, according to reports that have just broken, that she declined to have an affair with him. But just on the timing, he made these comments when he was married to Melania. The tape does not make clear that his attempt to, you know, sleep with Nancy O'Dell happened while he was married. It makes clear it happened while Nancy was married. Just for the record, that remains unclear. We're going to have much more on this. Panel, thank you.
Thanks, Cal.
Thanks, Megyn.
These guys are coming back in the next block, but the other big breaking story tonight involves new headaches for Hillary Clinton after WikiLeaks reveals some of what she was saying in those paid speeches that she gave to Wall Street firms, the ones she's been trying to keep private since the beginning of this race. Chris and Howie are back in moments with some stunning revelations on what she says in these things. Plus, David Wohl and Matt Bennett will join us on how this might play during Sunday night's debate. Plus, the National Hurricane Center just released some bad news for the folks living in Georgia and the Carolinas. We're back with that on a very, very busy Kelly file just ahead. Breaking tonight, another big story playing out on the 2016 campaign trail in addition to the Trump tape, and this one involves Hillary Clinton. WikiLeaks published what it claims are transcripts from closed-door speeches that Hillary Clinton gave to Wall Street executives 2 years ago. Transcripts that might have had a big impact on the Democratic primary and will definitely lead to new questions at the excerpts It will definitely lead to new questions at the debate on Sunday night. Now, the excerpts include Mrs. Clinton suggesting that Wall Street insiders are best equipped to help reform the financial sector. Wall Street insiders are. How do you think Bernie Sanders would feel about that? She also conceded that presidential candidates for either party must have tens of millions in contributions from New York to mount a competitive national campaign. Those are the wrong leads. Wait until you hear what she says. Trace Gallagher has got the breaking news with some of the highlights. Trace?
Megyn, Hillary Clinton and her campaign have repeatedly refused to release the transcripts of her speeches, and political analysts say these leaked excerpts are likely the reason why, including where she apparently called Bernie Sanders supporters a, quote, bucket of losers. They come from some 2,000 emails hacked from the personal account of top Clinton aide John Podesta, none of which have been confirmed, mind you. They show Clinton campaign researchers trying to flag Podesta about quotes that could be politically damaging. For example, one that says Clinton admits she's out of touch, referring to a speech she made at Goldman Sachs where she talked about her middle-class upbringing and went on to say, quoting, so I lived that, and now obviously I'm kind of far removed because the life I've lived and the economic, fortunes that my husband and I now enjoy. But I haven't forgotten it. Another red flag came in 2013, a speech to the National Multi-Housing Council where she said, quoting again, I mean, politics is like sausage being made. It is unsavory, and it always has been that way. But we usually end up where we need to be. But if everybody's watching, all of the backroom discussions and the deals, then people get a little nervous, to say the least. So you need both a public and a private position. The aides also flagged comments where Clinton is aware of the security concerns around BlackBerries, even admitting that everyone at the State Department was being hacked, even personal emails, quoting here again, at the State Department, we were attacked every hour, more than once an hour, by incoming efforts to penetrate everything we had. The emails also entailed comments indicating she supports the Keystone Pipeline, which she publicly opposes, how she favors single-payer or government-funded health care, how she thinks Wall Street insiders are what's needed to fix Wall Street, and why she supports lowering corporate tax rates and raising the Social Security age. For the record, of the $22 million she made from speeches after resigning as Secretary of State, $3 million came from Wall Street. So far, there has been no comment from the Clinton campaign. John Podesta thinks he was hacked by Russians trying to throw the election to Donald Trump. Megyn.
Trace, thank you. Joining us now, Chris Dyer-Walt and Howie Kurtz are back, plus David Wohl, who's an attorney and Trump supporter, and Matt Bennett, who's co-founder of Third Way and a former deputy assistant to President Clinton. Good to see you all. So, I don't know where to start. I'll start with this. My dream is a hemispheric common market with open trade and open borders, and what appears to be a reference to Bernie Sanders supporters, although all that's absolutely clear is it's people on the left, calling them bucket of losers. Bucket of losers, she refers to. Matt Bennett, I'll give it to you as a Democrat who worked for President Clinton about what this tells us about the Democratic nominee.
Well, look, it may tell us nothing at all, Megyn, because these emails come from WikiLeaks, which the Homeland Security today said come from the Russians. We're having a discussion that the Kremlin wants us to have. They handed this over in an effort to mess around
It's true
with this
these
election.
haven't been authenticated. It is true this haven't, but it's not that we don't have verification that these are her words and they haven't been manipulated. But so far we are not hearing that from Team Clinton. They're not coming out and challenging the authenticity yet.
Well, no, but remember that something like 12,000 pages of John Podesta's emails were stolen and put up online by WikiLeaks. So that's a lot for them to get through in just a few hours, and I'm not surprised that they haven't commented on any particular thing.
Well, it's an important caveat. It's true, David Wohl, we don't know for sure the authenticity of these documents. In a court of law, these would not be admissible yet. We'd have to prove that they were authentic. But if they are authentic, these are politically problematic.
Yeah, Megyn, I mean, this will hit Hillary Clinton's campaign like a 9.0 earthquake when this is absorbed. I mean, this exposes her literally as a complete fraud. And I think the most critical point that was made, I think it was when a transcript, a Wall Street bank speech was released. And literally, Megyn, she said, I have two different policies. I have a public policy, which I talk to people about, and then I've got a private policy, which is completely different. So what that essentially says is that when I'm campaigning, I will do whatever it takes to get elected. I'm going to tell them whatever they want to hear, whatever I think they need to hear, but the truth is going to be held secret. That is critical. That exposes her as a typical sleazy politician who will do anything to get elected, Megyn. This is huge. All Kelly File viewers have to review this stuff.
The other thing she says, Howie, is I'm hoping whatever the shortfalls or glitches in the healthcare law here in America, those will be remedied, and we can keep moving forward to get affordable universal healthcare coverage like you have here in Canada. So she's pushing for Canadian healthcare, open borders, open trade, and on top of all that, she acknowledges that the State Department emails are being hacked and that they were hacking people's personal emails while she was using personal email on a personal server and acting as her Secretary of State, talking about things that could endanger sources and methods and agents out in the field.
Right. While all politicians have public and private positions, to hear Hillary Clinton, who's a big supporter of Obamacare, say she really wants to move to single payer, which is basically government-run health insurance, and what she said about bucket of losers, people on the left, do we add that to basket of deplorables for Trump supporters? That's damaging. But the most radioactive phrase in here, as you note, is open borders, because given the sensitivity of the immigration debate and Donald Trump's stand on that and the concerns about terrorism and vetting, that is a radioactive phrase.
You know what, Steyerwalt? If you just saw this report, and any other night this would have been the lead of the show, right? These
Sure.
Hillary Clinton emails. But there's the matter of Donald Trump and women. And you'd have to think, wow, does Hillary Clinton have a mole at Access Hollywood who managed to release those tapes of Trump on the day that this stuff came out? Which, as far as we know, she does not. But you know as well as I do that women's story. And I'm not saying it's not justified, but that women's story is going to dominate it's going to dominate. And this is going to be ignored by a lot of the mainstream press.
Well, first, apparently the deplorables are drier than the losers, because the deplorables you can put in a basket, the losers go in a bucket. So apparently that's about the right vessel that you need for that group.
Who does she like? Who's not a loser or a deplorable? Just the people who support her?
The deplorable losers are, I guess, the Bernie Sanders supporters who have crossed over to vote for Trump, and they can go in a thermos inside a basket. Hillary Clinton, after a long time of being very unlucky at politics, in 2008 she was snake bit. Nothing ever broke her way. Man, she had a great day today. This comes out now. Of course, it could be totally fake. The WikiLeaks, the Kremlin, dirtbaggery abounds, but it comes out on the same day that the government says it's true the Russians are trying to throw the election, and they ain't trying to throw it for her. That's the first thing that she's lucky about. But then, just before Julian Assange, and you can just see him like Dr. Evil tenting his fingers for the moment that he's going to hit send, that somebody at the Washington Post was like, oh, this is interesting. Boom. And the Donald Trump stuff. Yeah, the Donald Trump stuff, because as we mentioned earlier, because it deals with the privilege that he feels to take advantage of women, is going to blow this out of the water.
I got to go, but David, well, you're such a Trump supporter, such a loyalist of his. Can you give us a comment on that tape?
You know, Megyn, I'm glad he apologized, but when you compare this to what Hillary Clinton did to Bill's documented actions, not just thoughts or words, but Bill's actions against women, sexual harassment, alleged rape, and then she tried to silence the women, she tried to intimidate them, she tried to get rid of them, she hired investigators. There's no real comparison, Megyn, but I'm glad he said, I'm sorry, let's move on to substance.
Go ahead, Matt.
I mean, you got to be kidding. If there's anybody that's sleazy in this race, I think it's pretty clear that it's Donald Trump.
And I do have to go, but I got to ask you this, Chris, one more. Is there any chance Donald Trump actually is going to drop out and not be the nominee on this ticket?
No.
Okay,
he said worse than, or he said almost as bad as this before. He ain't going anywhere.
We've never heard.
I'm with Chris.
The grab. That
is a new kind of grossness, but he said some stuff before. He's in for a penny, in for a pound. The Republicans bought this. They're going to ride it all the way down.
Okay. Good to see you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Megyn.
Up next, a Kelly File exclusive. An icon of American film shares a strongly worded message for Donald Trump.
I mean, he's so blatantly stupid. He's a punk. He's a dog. He's a pig.
Former Bush media advisor Mark McKinnon is next on the Robert De Niro message and whether it hurts Mr. Trump or helps him. Don't miss this. You'll see it only here. Well, the Kelly File is tonight getting an exclusive look at a strongly worded message from one Hollywood icon. And the man does not mince words. While one legendary actor's off-the-cuff comments for an ad campaign wound up on the cutting room floor of that Get Out the Vote effort, we have obtained an exclusive look at this actor's comments, and you know him very well. And here are Robert De Niro's thoughts on Donald Trump.
I mean, he's so blatantly stupid. He's a punk. He's a dog. He's a pig. He's a con, a bull artist, a mutt who doesn't know what he's talking about, doesn't do his homework, doesn't care, doesn't pay his taxes. He's an idiot. Colin Powell said it best. He's a national disaster. He's an embarrassment to this country. It makes me so angry. This fool, this bozo, has wound up where he has. Talks how he wants to punch people in the face. Well, I'd like to punch him in the face. This is somebody that we want for president? I don't think so. What I care about is the direction of this country. And what I'm very, very worried about is that it might go in the wrong direction with someone like Donald Trump. If you care about your future, vote for it.
Mark McKinnon served as the chief media advisor to President George W. Bush and is now the co-creator and co-host of the weekly documentary series, The Circus, on Showtime. Mark, good to see you. I mean, you know, De Niro is beloved. He's beloved in the country. You know, he's played such iconic roles, and to see him come out so forcefully and denounce Trump in those terms, you tell me whether it has any effect.
Well, what people really want to see on television and advertising and politics is something that's authentic. Most of the advertising that they see, they just start out believing. They don't believe any of it. They think it's all paid for, it's all scripted. Well, that's obviously not scripted. That's passionate, it's from the heart, it's totally authentic. So anything that communicates something that's authenticity and heartfelt and passionate is good. I mean, they should get that off the cutting room floor and put that on television because that's powerful. I mean, it's sort of Trump-like in the way that it's unvarnished and peels the paint off. But that's the kind of thing that voters actually want to see. They're tired of scripted stuff off teleprompters. That's the real thing, and that's what people want to see. That's what's powerful today in politics, something that's authentic and unscripted.
But does it have any effect? I mean, we know that the Trump voters, like his fan base, they're not going to care about that. In fact, Robert De Niro is going to get mean tweets in 2 seconds from now, right? But does that have an effect on the people, the swayable middle?
Well, he's a Hollywood icon, as you said, and people just assume that his politics are pretty lefty anyway. So, no, it's not going to do much, except that he's giving a passionate voice to people on the left. And what people on the left need right now is to be energized. Hillary Clinton needs to energize that base. She wants to have that turnout up, and so far it hasn't been particularly enthusiastic. So, given this tape, given the last week, given De Niro, I mean, De Niro's just giving voice to people saying, come on, this is real, this is a real threat, and he's giving energy and passion to a lot of the voter base that Hillary Clinton's been unable to like De Niro can.
I can't let you go without asking you what you make of the news, the Trump tape and the Hillary WikiLeaks, you know, what, again, not yet authenticated, but not yet denied by the campaign either.
Well, it's going to make for a spectacular debate because, I mean, first of all, Donald Trump has to show, you know, that's going to be front and center. He has to show contrition, empathy, remorse. I mean, he's got to deal with that front and center somehow, and you know, or it'll dominate the whole debate in the next news cycles. But the WikiLeaks issues give the Trump campaign a whole treasure trove of very good issues to attack her on that night. So they've got a lot to go on too. Good for both of them.
If I were Trump, I'd be studying up over the next 40 hours, studying a lot, studying WikiLeaks. Great to see you, Mark.
Hey, happy anniversary. Kick it hard.
Thank you. Kick it hard. Well, Larry Sabato is up next on the new polls that just got dropped. We'll give you the state of the election next. We are now 32 days away from electing the next president and just 2 days away from a showdown that could prove critical for both candidates on Sunday night. With brand new Fox News polls released just hours ago, showing Hillary Clinton maintaining her lead over Donald Trump by a margin of 48 to 44%. Joining me now, Larry Sabato, founder and director of the University of Virginia's Center for Politics. Larry, what do you see in the new round of polls? Fox News and Quinnipiac both have them out.
Megyn, there's stability, surprising stability. Hillary Clinton's polling averages in the four-way are about 3%. Her polling average lead in the two-way, as you just noted, is 4 or 5%. So the Fox News poll is right there with the averages.
What trends, if any, are you seeing now?
I'm seeing a holding action, at least until the second debate, which ought to be incredible on Sunday night, given all the new information and issues. This is the busiest campaign ever. You can't even go to a movie on a Friday night.
You shouldn't be doing that anyway. You should be watching the Kelly file.
I know
in the
that.
last Fox News poll, it shows Trump is up 13 points with men, Hillary is up 11 points with women, but it actually shows that he gained 3 points with women in the past week. So maybe it was the Pence debate, who knows, but he made a little bit of progress with women in the past week. Then came today. But you tell me whether there's any historic precedent for a candidate making up that kind of lost ground between now, in a month's time with one major voting bloc.
I think it's very difficult. And Megyn, we are headed for the gender gap of all gender gaps. It's going to be the biggest gender gap since we've been able to measure it, since we've had the instruments to measure it. And I don't think that's going to close up very much on either side, men being for Trump, women being for Clinton before November 8th.
It's been fascinating to see. I mean, obviously she's a woman and he's a man, but this election involves so many other gender issues beyond, the sex of those actually on the top of the ticket. Larry, great to see you.
Thanks, Megyn.
Up next, it's the 20th anniversary for Fox News Channel. We have some of the most memorable moments we've shared with you coming up. Well, it's a big day here at Fox News. 20 years ago today, Fox hit the airwaves for the very first time. Yes, thank you, right. Yours truly joined the team back in 2004. And 3 years ago today, we launched the Kelly File. Here's a look back at some of our most memorable moments here over the years.
Welcome and good morning. The premier day for America's Newsroom. I'm Bill Hemmer along with Megyn Kelly, now in New York City, and welcome to you.
Thanks so much, buddy. I am pumped up to be here.
Just tell me, how is it fair?
Ready?
I am. Did you kill little Lisa?
No.
Do you believe she's still alive?
Yes, absolutely.
Were you drunk?
Yeah.
Still not real that my little girl, who's so full of life and who wants a horse so badly and who's gonna get cowgirl boots for Christmas isn't coming home.
And that's what you would do, isn't it? I mean, you'd get into the child's bed and you'd remember all the things you loved about them.
What makes you dominant and me submissive? And who died made you scientist in chief?
I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but we got to be careful about calling things.
So maybe not so fast.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. It's great to have you guys here.
That's awkward.
All right. Megyn is going to go to the decision desk and interview them about the decision on Ohio.
Now we're in the heart of the decision desk room.
We're actually quite comfortable with the call in Ohio.
Welcome to the very first broadcast of the Kelly File, live from the heart of New York. There's no losing, and actually we're getting rid of any sports in our school where one person wins and another person loses. You say that's terrible, and you say actually when you play cards with your grandkids, you let them lose. If they lost, they lost.
Well, I do. I mean, I don't annihilate them.
Whether you could anticipate what business would do is irrelevant. The Affordable
Stop
Care
saying
Act.
that, because I'll tell you what's relevant to my viewers. I think I know my viewers, and I think they think this is relevant.
I think it would be fair and balanced to also look at the violence that was and is going on, perpetrated by the government, by the official agencies and organs of the government.
Well, let me just tell you what I hear when I hear that. I hear you saying
You sound like, with respect, Osama bin Laden.
What?
You understand that Al-Qaeda routinely kills civilians. This group, ISIS, routinely kills civilians.
Are you
and
asking
that's
me
the
if
purpose.
I am a supporter of Al-Qaeda?
You certainly sound like you like them. What do you say to those who say you were so wrong about so much at the expense of so many? How did you first learn that there was a problem with Josh?
For days and days, I was saying, you know, Josh has done some very bad things, and he's very sorry.
When did you actually become a Republican?
I don't think they like me very much.
Afterward, you said you didn't feel that the moderators had been nice. But do you think it's the journalist's role to be nice to presidential candidates at a debate? The honeymoon is potentially on between Trump and the party.
This isn't the honeymoon. This is like that first long weekend that a couple spends together. Nobody belches. Everybody is on their best behavior. They're trying really hard to be somebody they're not. So they're not at the honeymoon yet. They're just at that cabin with the hot tub for the weekend.
Hillary was once so worried about what information Julian Assange might leak, she once allegedly inquired, quote, "Can't we just drone this guy?" A fact-check website says that claim is unproven. Megyn.
The fact that Trump has put ramps in his buildings is required by law. He doesn't get extra credit for that. You have to.
But they're very expensive in his buildings, Megyn.
Oh,
Let me
good
tell
God.
you.
And I would say that Jimmy Fallon is great, and also he copied me.
What do you mean?
Watch.
I see. There's no receding hairline there.
I'm going to do it too. See ya. I'll be right back. Settle for More is the name of my book, and it is coming out November 15th. And it is based on my own life philosophy, which is based on Dr. Phil's. Finally, the light bulb went off. I can settle for more. I can change my